John Carter stood in the massive hall and felt very small. The ceiling stretched so high above him that he could barely see it. Strange lights floated in the air without any wires or supports. Around him sat beings from dozens of different worlds, and none of them looked happy to see him. The Earth diplomat straightened his tie and checked his notes one more time. He had practiced this speech for months. Everything depended on getting it right. Behind him stood Captain Lisa Morgan in her crisp military uniform, and Dr. Alex Thompson carrying a tablet full of Earth's greatest achievements. They were humanity's best representatives, but looking at the alien faces around them, John wondered if their best would be good enough. "The human delegation may begin," announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. John could not see who was speaking. He stepped forward and cleared his throat. "Honored members of the Galactic Council, I am John Carter, speaking for all the people of Earth. We come before you today to request membership in your great community of worlds." A sound like breaking glass filled the hall. It took John a moment to realize that several aliens were laughing. The Zephyrian Prime Minister, a tall creature made of what looked like living crystal, rose from his seat. His voice rang like wind chimes in a storm. "Membership. You barely qualify as a spacefaring species. Your fastest ships crawl between planets like wounded insects. Your weapons are crude chemical explosives. Your people cannot even agree on simple matters among themselves." More laughter echoed through the hall. John felt his face grow hot, but he forced himself to stay calm. "We may not have your advanced technology, but humanity has other strengths. We have survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We have created art and music that moves the soul. We have learned to work together despite our differences." The Korath war chief slammed a metal fist on his desk. The sound rang like a hammer on an anvil. "Survival means nothing. Insects survive. What matters is power, and your species has none." The war chief stood up, towering over the human delegation. His skin looked like polished steel, and red lights glowed where his eyes should be. "Your military is a joke. We have seen your battles. You fight with metal tubes that fire tiny projectiles. Your largest explosives could not scratch the hull of our smallest scout ship." Dr. Thompson stepped forward. "We have made remarkable progress in medicine. Our scientists have eliminated diseases that once killed millions. We have learned to extend human life and reduce suffering. Surely that counts for something." A creature that looked like a giant spider covered in fur made a clicking sound. "Medicine for weaklings. Strong species do not waste time healing the sick. They let them die and grow stronger." John tried again. "We have explored our solar system. We have built stations in space and walked on other worlds. We are ready to take our place among the stars. Ready?" The Zephyrian Prime Minister's laugh sounded like crystal bells breaking. "You have not even learned to control your own planets. Whether your world grows warmer each year, and you can do nothing to stop it. Your ice caps melt, your seas rise, and your people argue about whose fault it is instead of fixing the problem." Captain Morgan spoke for the first time. "Our technology may be simple, but our determination is strong. Give us a chance to prove ourselves. Let us show you what humans can do when we work together." "Work together." The Korath war chief leaned forward. "Your species has never been united for more than a few years at a time. You still fight wars over invisible lines on maps, and who believes in which invisible gods. You are more divided now than you were a century ago." The spider-like alien clicked again. "Their planet cannot even support them much longer. Their population grows, but their resources shrink. They will destroy themselves within a few generations. Why should we waste time on a dying species?" John felt his heart sinking. Everything the aliens said was true. Earth did have problems. Humanity was divided on many issues. Their technology was primitive compared to these advanced civilizations. But they had come so far to get here. They had to try. "We know we have much to learn," John said. "That is why we seek your guidance. We want to become better. We want to join you in exploring the galaxy and building a peaceful future for all species." The hall erupted in more laughter. Beings from dozens of worlds found the idea of humans building anything worthwhile incredibly funny. The sound was overwhelming. John felt smaller and smaller with each passing second. The Zephyrian Prime Minister raised a crystal hand, and the laughter stopped. "We have heard enough. The Galactic Council will now vote on Earth's application for membership." One by one, each species cast their vote. The results appeared as glowing symbols in the air above the hall. John could not read the alien writing, but he did not need to. The meaning was clear from the faces around him. Every single vote was the same. "The application is rejected," announced the invisible voice. "Furthermore, the Sol system is now under quarantine. No human vessels may travel beyond the orbit of your outermost planet. Your species is confined to your own solar system until you prove you are no longer a threat to galactic peace." John felt like he had been punched in the stomach. A threat? "We came here seeking friendship, not conquest. Primitive species often become dangerous when they acquire advanced technology too quickly," explained the Prime Minister. "We have seen it happen before. Entire star systems have been destroyed by species who gained power before they gained wisdom." The delegation from Earth was escorted toward the exit. As they walked through the hall, aliens continued to point and whisper. Some were still laughing. John heard words like pathetic and amusing in languages he did not understand, but somehow knew were insults. Just as they reached the door, an ancient voice spoke from the shadows. "The sleepers beneath the ice have stirred before. When they wake fully, even we remember to fear." John turned to see who had spoken, but he saw only darkness. The other aliens had gone very quiet. For a moment, the great hall was completely silent. Then the Koroth war chief laughed loudly. "The Watchers speak in riddles as always. Pay no attention to their meaningless words, humans. Go home to your dying world and try not to destroy yourselves before the ice caps finish melting." As the doors closed behind them, John Carter looked back one last time at the hall where humanity's dreams had been crushed. He did not know that in 5 years, those same aliens would be begging Earth for mercy. He did not know that beneath the ice of Antarctica, something ancient was already beginning to stir. All he knew was that humanity had been rejected, mocked, and dismissed as worthless. The long journey back to Earth would give him plenty of time to think about how wrong the galaxy was about his species, but he would not live to see how very, very wrong they had been. 5 years had passed since the humiliation at the Galactic Council. Earth had tried to rebuild and improve, but the alien quarantine made everything harder. No trade with other worlds, no new technology from advanced civilizations. Humanity was alone in the dark. War commanders all stared at the blue marble hanging in space before his fleet. Earth looked so peaceful from this distance, so small and helpless. His red eyes glowed brighter as he thought about the easy victory ahead. "Commander, all ships report ready for invasion," said his second-in-command through the metal communication device. "Excellent," Zolth replied. His voice was cold and sharp like broken metal. "This will be good practice for our younger warriors. The humans cannot possibly resist us for more than a few hours." The Koroth invasion fleet was massive, 300 warships hung in space beyond Earth's moon. Each ship was the size of a small city and armed with weapons that could turn mountains to dust. The humans had seen nothing like it on Earth. General Kevin Brooks sat in a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Screens all around him showed the alien fleet approaching. His face was calm, but his hands shook slightly as he reached for the communication device. "All units, this is command. The aliens are coming. Remember your training. Remember your families. Today we fight for our world." In the Pacific, Squadron Leader Amy Rodriguez climbed into her fighter jet. The plane was Earth's most advanced, but she knew it would be like throwing rocks at a tank. Still, she had to try. Her squad of 12 pilots prepared to launch from their carrier. "All right, people," Amy said over the radio. "We know we are outgunned. We know we might not make it home, but we are going to make them remember that humans do not give up without a fight." Colonel Danny Wright was already in the air over North America. His squadron of 24 fighters flew in tight formation toward the alien ships. Their missiles were loaded, their guns were ready, but Danny knew they would need a miracle to survive the next Ardot in Europe. Commander Helen Price stood on the bridge of her destroyer. The ship's weapons were pointed toward the sky, ready to fire at anything that came too close to the coastline. Round her, Dozens of other ships from different nations waited for the attack to begin. The first alien drop ships entered Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. They glowed red-hot as they cut through the air, but their shields protected them from burning up. Behind them came more ships, and more, until the sky was filled with alien craft. Amy Rodriguez fired first. Her missiles streaked toward the nearest alien ship, leaving white trails in the blue sky. The weapons struck the alien shields and exploded in brilliant flashes of light. When the smoke cleared, the alien ship was completely undamaged. Direct hit, no effect, Amy reported. Her voice stayed steady even though her heart was racing. All units, their shields are stronger than expected. We need to find another way. The alien ships began firing back. Beams of pure energy lanced down from the sky, striking Earth's fighters and turning them into balls of fire. In seconds, half of Amy's squadron was gone. The rest scattered, trying to avoid the deadly beams. Danny Wright's squadron fared no better. Their most powerful missiles could not even scratch the alien hulls, one by one. His pilots were shot down. Danny watched his friends die and felt helpless rage building in his chest. Command, this is Wright. Our weapons are useless. Repeat. Our weapons have no effect on enemy shields. On the ground, the aliens landed their troops in major cities around the world. The Korath soldiers were 8 feet tall and covered in metal armor. Their weapons fired bolts of energy that could cut through tank armor like paper. New York fell within 2 hours. The city's defenders fought bravely, but their bullets bounced off alien armor like raindrops. London lasted 3 hours before the government surrendered to save civilian lives. Tokyo held out for hours, but the result was the same. General Brooks watched the reports coming from around the world. Everywhere the story was the same. Humanity's best weapons were useless against alien technology. Their nuclear missiles had been shot down before they could reach their targets. Their tanks were destroyed by single shots from alien rifles. Sir, said his aide, a young woman named Lieutenant Carol Adams. We are receiving strange reports from our monitoring stations in Antarctica. What kind of reports? Brooks asked, without taking his eyes off the battle screens. Massive energy readings, sir. The instruments are showing power levels unlike anything we have ever seen, and there is seismic activity across the entire continent. Brooks frowned. Seismic activity? Like earthquakes? Not exactly, sir. The readings suggest something very large is moving beneath the ice, something that has been dormant for a very long time. Dr. Rachel Kim was one of the scientists monitoring the Antarctic readings. From a research station near the Ross Ice Shelf, she had never seen anything like the data flowing across her screens. The energy signatures were off the charts, and they were growing stronger by the hour. This does not make sense, she said to her colleague, Dr. Peter Collins. Nothing on Earth could generate this much power. The readings suggest something the size of a small city buried under 2 miles of ice. Could it be some kind of natural formation? Peter asked. Maybe a uranium deposit or something similar? Rachel shook her head. No, this is too organized, too regular. Look at the pattern. She pointed to her screen. This energy is not random. It has structure, like it is being controlled by some kind of intelligence. Above them, the war continued to go badly for humanity. War Commander Ulf watched from his flagship as his forces swept aside Earth's defenses. Like a strong wind blowing away leaves, the humans were putting up a brave fight. But bravery meant nothing against superior technology. Commander said, his communications officer, our science teams are detecting unusual energy patterns from the southern continent of this planet. Zolf looked at the readings with interest. What kind of energy? Unknown, sir. The power levels are extremely high. Our sensors suggest some kind of artificial structure beneath the ice. Artificial? Zolf's red eyes brightened. Perhaps the humans have been hiding a secret weapon. Send a science team to investigate immediately if they have something that could threaten us. I want it destroyed before it can be used. But as Zolf gave his orders, he did not know that the energy readings were growing stronger every minute. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, something that had slept for millions of years was finally beginning to wake up. The ice above was starting to crack and shift as the ancient thing stirred in its frozen tomb. The Korath had come to Earth expecting an easy victory over a primitive species. They thought humans were weak and helpless. They were about to learn how very wrong they were. Earth had never been defenseless. It had simply been a sleep dot, and now, as humanity faced its darkest hour, the planet itself was beginning to remember what it was capable of doing to protect its children. Dr. Peter Collins had never been so cold in his life. The Antarctic wind cut through his heavy coat like a knife, and his breath came out in white clouds that froze almost instantly. Behind him, 3 Korath soldiers in metal armor followed him down into the deep ice tunnel their machines had carved. The aliens had forced him to guide their investigation team. After capturing him at the research station, Dr. Rachel Kim walked beside him, her hands tied with alien restraints that glowed with a soft blue light. Neither of them spoke. The Korath did not like humans who talk too much. "How much deeper does this structure go?" asked the lead Korath scientist. His voice came through a translation device that made him sound like a robot. Peter looked at his scanner. The readings still made no sense. At least another mile down, maybe more. The energy source is somewhere near the bottom. They had been walking through carved ice tunnels for 2 hours. The walls around them were smooth and perfectly straight, clearly made by advanced machines. But the strangest thing was that the ice was not natural. Under their lights, Peter could see layers and patterns that looked almost like circuit boards frozen in time. "This ice formation is impossible," Rachel whispered to him when the aliens were not listening. "Ice does not grow in geometric patterns like this. Something made these tunnels millions of years ago." As they went deeper, the walls began to change. The ice gave way to a dark material that looked like metal, but felt warm to the touch. Strange symbols covered the surfaces, glowing faintly with an inner light that pulsed like a slow heartbeat. "These markings," said the Korath scientist, running his metal fingers over the symbols. "They are not human. They are not from any known galactic civilization either." Dr. Susan Lee had been captured at a different research station and brought here to study the biological aspects of whatever they had found. She was a marine biologist, but the alien captors seemed to think all human scientists were the same. "The walls are not just metal," she told Peter quietly. "They are alive. Look at the way the symbols pulse. They are responding to our presence." The tunnels opened into a vast chamber that took their breath away. The space was so large that their lights could not reach the far walls. In the center of the chamber stood something that defied description, that it looked like a building, but it moved slowly like a living thing. The structure was made of the same warm metal as the tunnel walls, but it was covered with veins that glowed green and blue. These veins pulsed with energy, sending waves of light from the base to the top in a steady rhythm. "By the void," whispered one of the Korath soldiers. "What is that thing?" Peter checked his instruments. The energy readings were so high they were off the scale. "Whatever it is the source of all the power we detected, and it is getting stronger." As they watched, sections of the structure began to unfold like a flower opening to the sun. New passages appeared, and platforms extended from the walls. Lights came on throughout the chamber, revealing just how massive the space really was. "It knows we are here," Susan said with wonder in her voice. "It is waking up because we are here." The Korath scientist aimed his scanner at the structure. "The technology is unlike anything in our databases. The power source appears to be some form of controlled fusion, but the energy output suggests something far more advanced." Colonel Jake Stevens had been brought from the battlefield to serve as military advisor to the investigation team. His uniform was torn and dirty from the fighting above, but his eyes were sharp as he studied the ancient facility. "This is not a building," he said slowly. "It is a weapon. Look at the design. Those are targeting systems. Those are power conduits for massive energy weapons. This whole place is one giant defense platform." The Korath soldiers raised their weapons nervously. Their leader spoke into his communication device. "War Commander Zolf, we have discovered a large artificial structure beneath the ice. It appears to be some kind of military installation." Zolf's voice crackled through the device. "Destroy it immediately. I will not have human secret weapons threatening my fleet." But before the soldiers could fire, The structure responded. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, showing images that made everyone gasp. The hologram showed Earth as it had been millions of years ago, covered with cities and inhabited by beings that looked nothing like humans. "These are historical records," Rachel said, staring at the images. "This thing is showing us what happened here before humans ever existed." The images changed, showing massive battles in space above Earth. Ships larger than cities fought with weapons that could destroy moons. The war was terrible and beautiful at the same time. The previous inhabitants were not alone, Peter realized. Earth was part of some kind of galactic civilization that fought a war across multiple star systems. The hologram showed the final battle. The defenders of Earth were losing. Their enemies were closing in for the final attack, but instead of surrendering, the inhabitants did something incredible. They built the Guardian. The images showed the construction of the massive defense system. It was not just the structure they were standing in. The Guardian was a network that covered the entire planet, with installations hidden in ocean trenches, mountain ranges, and polar ice caps. They turned the whole planet into a fortress, Jake said with admiration. When they knew they could not win, they made sure Earth could defend itself forever. The hologram showed the Guardian's first activation. Energy beams reached out from Earth into space, destroying the attacking fleets with ease. The planet's enemies fled in terror, and Earth was left alone and protected. But what happened to the builders? Susan asked. The final images provided the answer. The war had cost too much. The builders were dying out, their civilization collapsing from the effort of fighting across the galaxy. But they had time for one last gift to their world. The hologram showed them placing something in the Guardian's central core. It was small and glowing, like a seed made of pure light. As they placed it, the whole system changed color from red to blue. They programmed it to protect whatever new life evolved on Earth. Rachel realized they made it the guardian of their world's future children. The hologram faded, and new lights began coming on throughout the structure. The Guardian was fully awake now, and it was scanning the situation on Earth's surface. Its ancient sensors detected the Korath invasion and identified the threat to its protected charges. Deep beneath the ice, weapons systems that had slept for 65 million years began powering up. The Guardian had awakened, and it was not pleased with what it found above them. War Commander Zolf was about to learn that Earth had never been weak at all. It had simply been waiting for the right moment to remind the galaxy why this small blue planet was best left alone. The first earthquake hit without warning. Captain Tony Mitchell was in his underground command bunker in Colorado when the walls began to shake, coffee spilled from cups, and computer screens flickered as the entire mountain trembled above them. "Sir, we are getting reports from around the globe," said his communications officer. "Massive seismic activity on every continent. But sir, the strange thing is that no cities are being damaged." Tony frowned as he looked at the incoming reports. Earthquakes were hitting everywhere, but somehow they missed every major population center. It was as if something was controlling where the shaking happened. "What about the Antarctic team? Any word from Dr. Collins and the others?" "Negative, sir. We lost contact 3 hours ago." Above ground, the effects were becoming visible. In the Pacific Ocean, islands that had been underwater for millions of years suddenly rose from the depths. Water cascaded off ancient structures as they emerged into sunlight for the first time since the age of dinosaurs. Squadron leader Amy Rodriguez was still in the air, dodging alien energy beams in her damaged fighter she had been fighting for hours, and her fuel was almost gone. Half her squadron was dead. The rest were scattered across the battlefield. "Command, this is Rodriguez. I am seeing something impossible. There are structures rising out of the ocean. They look like buildings, but they are covered in weapons." The ocean-based Guardian installations were activating. Massive platforms broke the surface of the water, shedding millions of tons of seawater as they rose. Each platform was the size of a city block and covered with weapon systems that had been waiting patiently for this moment. War Commander Zolf watched from his flagship as his sensors detected the new contacts. "What are those things? They were not there an hour ago." His science officer studied the readings with confusion. "Unknown, Commander. They appear to be artificial structures of immense size. The power readings suggest weapon systems far beyond anything in our databases. Impossible. The humans do not have such technology. They barely understand basic energy manipulation. But even as Zolf spoke, the first Guardian platform began to rotate. Ancient targeting systems that had once tracked starships across light years locked onto the Korath fleet deep within the platform. Fusion reactors that had slept for geological ages roared back to life. In the Sahara Desert, sand began to fall away from something buried beneath the dunes. Local tribes fled in terror as a mountain-sized structure slowly rose from the earth. The metal surface was scarred by millions of years of sandstorms, but the weapons it carried were still perfect. In the Himalayas, entire peaks cracked open to reveal Guardian installations built into the heart of the mountains. Prayer flags fluttered in the wind as ancient weapons emerged from their stone camouflage. Dr. Nancy Brown was a linguist who had been studying alien communication patterns. Since the invasion began, she was in a research facility in Washington. When her instruments started picking up a new signal, it was not coming from the alien fleet. It was coming from Earth itself. "This is incredible," she said to her assistant as she worked to decode the transmission. "The signal is using mathematical principles I have never seen before. It is definitely artificial, but it is not human or Korath." The signal was the Guardian, trying to communicate. It had detected the humans fighting against the invaders and was attempting to make contact with Earth's current dominant species. After hours of work, Nancy finally broke through the mathematical code. The message was simple but powerful. "I am the guardian of this world. You are under my protection. Do not fear." She immediately contacted Captain Mitchell. "Sir, I am receiving a communication from something that calls itself the Guardian. It says it is here to protect us." "Protect us from what?" "From the aliens, sir. I think Earth itself is fighting back." The first Guardian weapon fired moments later. A beam of pure energy lanced up from the Pacific platform, cutting through space like a sword of light. It struck a Korath battleship dead center, and the massive alien vessel simply vanished. No explosion, no debris. It was there 1 second and gone the next. Zalth stared at his tactical display in shock. "That is impossible. The Eternal Blade was our most heavily shielded ship. Nothing should be able to destroy it so easily." More beams fired from Guardian installations around the globe. Each shot was perfectly aimed, striking alien ships with surgical precision. The Korath fleet, which had seemed invincible just hours before, began to crumble under the assault. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Zolf ordered. "Return fire on those platforms immediately." The Korath fleet turned their weapons on the Guardian installations. Energy beams and particle cannons that could level mountains struck the ancient platforms. The attacks had no effect. The Guardian's shields absorbed every shot without even flickering. Colonel Danny Wright had been shot down earlier in the battle and was hiding in the ruins of a city when the Guardian weapons began firing. He watched in amazement as alien ships were destroyed one after another by beams of light from Earth's surface. "This is right to any human forces. The cavalry has arrived, and it is magnificent." In Antarctica, Dr. Susan Lee was still trapped in the Guardian's central chamber with the others. The structure around them was fully active now, with lights and energy flowing through every surface. The holographic displays showed the battle happening on the surface. "It is protecting us," she whispered in wonder. "This ancient machine is fighting to defend humanity." Dr. Peter Collins watched the tactical display with growing excitement. "Look at the precision. Every shot hits its target perfectly. The Guardian's computer systems are calculating trajectories across thousands of miles with perfect accuracy." The Korath tried to adapt their tactics. They used their fastest ships to attack the Guardian platforms directly, hoping to overwhelm the defenses with sheer numbers. It was a mistake. As the alien fighters approached the Pacific platform, secondary weapons activated. Thousands of smaller energy beams reached out like grasping fingers, swatting the Korath ships from the sky. Not one alien craft got within 10 miles of its target. "Commander," said Zalf's second-in-command, "we have lost 60% of our fleet. Our weapons cannot penetrate their defenses. I recommend immediate withdrawal." Zalf's pride would not let him retreat. Call in the reserve fleet from the outer system. We will overwhelm these platforms with sheer numbers." But as he gave the order, new Guardian installations continued to emerge from their hiding places. The ancient network was revealing itself piece by piece, and each new platform added its weapons to the defense of Earth. The Guardian was not just awake, it was angry. For millions of years, it had waited patiently for new life to evolve on Earth. It had watched humanity grow from primitive tribes to a spacefaring civilization. These invaders dared to threaten its protected charges. Commander Helen Price watched from her destroyer as the sea around her ship began to glow with energy from the underwater Guardian platforms. The ancient structures were rising all around her fleet, but they carefully avoided damaging any human vessels. "This is Price to all ships. Hold your fire. Repeat, hold your fire. These platforms are on our side." The Guardian had made its decision. Earth would no longer hide its strength. The galaxy would remember why this small blue planet had been left alone for so long. War Commander Zolf was about to learn that some sleeping giants are best left undisturbed. War Commander Zolf watched his once mighty fleet disappear ship by ship. The Guardian platforms fired with deadly precision, and nothing he tried could stop them. His flagship shook as another energy beam passed close by, missing him by mere meters. "Commander, the reserve fleet has been destroyed," reported his communications officer. The alien's metal face showed no emotion, but his voice trembled with fear. "All ships from the outer system have been eliminated before they could reach Earth." Zolf could not believe what he was hearing. The reserve fleet had contained his most powerful warships, vessels that could destroy entire planets. Yet the Earth's defenses had wiped them out without taking a single loss. How is this possible? The humans are primitives. They fight with chemical explosives and metal projectiles. But as he spoke, more Guardian installations emerged from their hiding places. Ancient structures rose from the deepest ocean trenches, their weapon systems coming online one by one. The planet itself was revealing its true nature, and Zolf finally understood the terrible mistake he had made. On Earth, Dr. Nancy Brown continued her work to communicate with the Guardian. The ancient entity was trying to learn human language, and its messages were becoming clearer with each passing hour. "I have been waiting," came the translated message. "The builders told me new children would come to this world. I have watched you grow. I have protected you from dangers you never knew existed." Nancy typed her response into the communication system. "Why did you wait so long to reveal yourself? You were not ready. Your species needed time to develop wisdom along with knowledge. The builders made the same mistake. They gained great power too quickly and destroyed themselves with war." Captain Tony Mitchell read the Guardian's messages with growing amazement. "Are you saying you have been protecting Earth all along?" "Yes. Many species have considered attacking this world over the millions of years since my activation. I destroyed their fleets before they could threaten you. You never knew they existed." The revelation was staggering. Humanity had never been alone in the galaxy. They had been protected by a guardian angel made of metal and energy, fighting off threats in the darkness of space. In the Galactic Council chambers, panic was spreading. The news of the Korath fleet's destruction had reached every corner of the galaxy within hours. The same aliens who had laughed at Earth's weakness 5 years ago now trembled at the mention of the human world. The Zephyrian Prime Minister stood before an emergency session of the Council. His crystal body was flickering with nervous energy. "We have received reports from across the galaxy. Ancient installations are awakening on dozens of worlds. They all bear the same energy signature as the Earth defenses." A spider-like alien clicked frantically. "Our archaeologists have found references to these installations in texts that are millions of years old. They call them Guardian networks. Entire civilizations built them to protect their worlds from invasion. But who built them?" asked a representative from the gas giant worlds. An ancient voice spoke from the shadows where the Watchers dwelled. "We did, long ago, when we were young and foolish. We created the Guardian network to protect the galaxy from threats that came from beyond the stars. We built them to well. They protected not just our worlds, but any world where new life might grow." The council chamber fell silent. The Watchers rarely spoke, and when they did, their words carried the weight of eons. "The Earth installation was one of our greatest works. We programmed it to nurture and protect whatever new species evolved there. The humans have inherited the protection we built for them. Back on Earth, the last of Zalth's fleet was cornered near the moon. Only his flagship and 3 escort ships remained from the mighty armada that had come to conquer. Humanity, the Guardian. Platforms had stopped firing, but their weapons remained trained on the surviving alien vessels. Dr. Susan Lee watched from the Antarctic chamber. As the Guardian's holographic displays showed the space battle, "It could destroy them all right now," she said to the others, "but it is waiting for something." The answer came through Dr. Brown's communication link. "I offer the invaders one chance for mercy. They must surrender completely and accept punishment for their crimes against my protected charges." Zalth received the message on his flagship. His pride burned at the thought of surrendering to primitives, but his survival instincts were stronger. Round him, his remaining crew waited for his decision. "This is War Commander Zalth to the Earth Defenses," he said finally. "I surrender. MY Fleet unconditionally. We will accept whatever punishment you deem appropriate." The Guardian's response was swift. "Your weapons will be confiscated. Your ships will be escorted beyond this solar system. You will return to your people and tell them what you have learned here. Earth is under my protection. Any who threaten it will face the same fate as your fleet." But the Guardian was not finished. Its network spread across the galaxy, and its message went out to every world where intelligent life existed. John Carter stood once again in the Galactic Council chambers. But this time the situation was very different. The same aliens who had mocked humanity now sat in respectful silence. As he spoke, "The Guardian has made Earth's position clear," John said calmly. "We seek peace and cooperation with all species, but we will not tolerate aggression or threats against our world or our people." The Zephyrian Prime Minister rose from his seat, his crystal body dim with shame. "Ambassador Carter, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer our deepest apologies for our previous treatment of your species. We request the honor of formal alliance with Earth." Similar requests came from dozens of other species. The same aliens who had dismissed humanity as worthless now competed for the chance to be Earth's friends and trading partners. Admiral Lisa Morgan, promoted after the crisis, stood beside John as Earth's military representative. "The Guardian has made it clear that we will defend ourselves and our allies against any threats, but we prefer friendship to warfare." The Korath survivors, their military power broken, formally requested to study under human guidance. They wanted to learn how humanity had earned the protection of such a powerful Guardian. Dr. Alex Thompson, now Earth's chief science advisor to the galactic community, worked with alien researchers to study Guardian technology. But the ancient installations would only share their secrets with those who proved. They would use the knowledge wisely. In Antarctica, Dr. Susan Lee continued her work with the Guardian. The ancient entity had revealed that Earth's awakening was not unique across the galaxy. Other Guardian networks were activating as the ancient threats they were built to face began stirring in the dark spaces between stars. "Your species is ready now," the Guardian told her. "You have shown wisdom along with courage. You will help defend this galaxy against the dangers that are coming." Captain Tony Mitchell, now in charge of Earth's planetary defense forces, worked with Guardian platforms around the world. Humanity had gone from being the galaxy's outcasts to its newest protectors in less than a week. The aliens had laughed at Earth's weakness, dismissing humanity as primitive and helpless. They had seen a small blue world with crude technology and divided peoples, and they had thought it would be easy prey. They had not seen the ancient Guardian sleeping beneath the ice, waiting patiently for its adopted children to need protection. They had not known that Earth had never been weak at all. Now the galaxy knew better, and in the cold depths of space, other ancient threats took notice and began to plan their approach more carefully. Earth was awake, and the galaxy would never be the same.